My guest this morning is Jacqui Showers. Jacqui can be so bold and in your face, it can be unnerving. Some have said, known as the bold encourager. It is her pushing, prodding, and praying that ignites creativity, propelling you to succeed. There is an intensity of caring that causes her to not give up. It doesn't matter if it's developing and positioning your brand, praying for you and with you, or coaching and mentoring you to be an effective leader. She provides the same intensity, propelling you to succeed. Her seamless energy and optimism is contagious. Jacqui understands that your possibilities are endless, and in her in-your-face approach causes you to embrace those endless possibilities. Her passion is to move you from just thinking about getting out there to pushing you out there. It's my passion, it's my purpose to inspire the best in you. When I'm working with you, I'm excited to take your ideas and move you from just mere words to something great. Isn't that what's creativity all about? I get a big rush in seeing how something evolved from a void of nothingness into a seamless creative flow of endless possibilities that moves you to experience the aha moment, similar to creation. It started when I was just a kid. I was enchanted with organizing and creating something from nothing, as much as bringing out the best in others. I just allow the kid in me to burst forth as I work closely to release the kid inside of you, resulting in a synergistic explosion of creative possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reading Circle microphones, none other than Elder Jacqui Sanders. Jacqui, good morning. Oh, come on now. Don't tell me we're going to have this again. This is exactly what happened last week. Good morning, Jacqui. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but the music is playing over everything.
I'll tell you what, so I'm going to stop the music because that's the same issue we seem to have had for some reason last week. Go ahead and talk now.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark.
There you go.
Here I go. Thank you so much, Mark, for inviting me on this morning. I'm so excited about being here. It's such a great morning. Just such a great morning, such a great day. It's always a great morning. I'm always so excited. And always, I thank God for the love affair that He and I share. It's totally beyond compare.
All right. So now, see, I'll tell you, we just installed, and I've been sharing the story as guests come on. We just literally installed 2021 a new board here in the studio, and the board the board that we had prior to that, I've been on the air 21 years now. I've been on that same board for the 20 years. They just put in the new stuff. It's sleeker, it's lighter, it's smaller, but this still has some tweaks that needs to be made. And one of them, because the old board allowed music to be going on in the background as the interviewer or an interviewee were speaking. And for some reason, I'm going to have to get in touch with the station manager again and let him know there's still a little tweak there. We have to be able to play music at the same time that the interview is going on. So they got it straight. At least I can hear you. Last week when Kadena was on, we couldn't even hear her. And I was getting all kinds of bells and whistles going on in the background. So I'm grateful and thankful that if I need to turn the music off, that's not an issue. I can do that and then we can talk. We are good to go. So listening audience, I shared with you earlier that Jacqui and I were on a radio show last week together. We were on the Monica Morgan Speaks radio show last Saturday afternoon. Jacqui, you were in the 4:30. You were on the 4:30 segment.
I was in the 4:30 segment.
Right, I was on the 5:30 segment. So Jacqui came before me. I heard her interview there, and I said, wait a minute, I have her on the show coming up this Saturday. So I heard her on that, and I said, we're going to have a blast. We're going to have a good time. So, and the other thing is this. I love the way you spell your name. Whenever I have 4 children, 2 biological, 2 steps. I don't even get into the step thing, but I differentiate them just for the sake of. Well, as far as I'm concerned, all 4 of them are mine. However, I digress. The reason I'm sharing this story is whenever my former wife, the mother of my 2 biological children, when she was pregnant the first time, the way you spell your name is exactly what I wanted to name my first daughter, because there was a young lady when I was in college that spelled her name that way, Jacqui, and I loved the spelling of it. And I always said if I had a daughter, matter of fact, she pronounced it Jacqui. I said if I ever had a daughter, I was going to name her that and spell it that way. But as it turns out, as we started negotiating names, I lost. But in any event, I always loved the spelling of that Jacqui. So you do say Jack. You don't say Jacqui. You say Jacqui.
I say Jacqui.
Okay.
Some people they will say Jacqui, and that's fine. because I know when you look at it, it looks like Jacqui, but it's Jackie.
All right, so now I just read in the bio piece in your words that you said, and interestingly enough, when you said you allow the kid in you to burst forth so you can bring out the kid inside of you. Now that is, and maybe I won't say, but the part of the name of the business that I'm going to create has something to do with kid. I won't say the name because I don't want nobody to take the name for me before I can get it trademarked. But anyway, I always tell folks, regardless of how old I am, I actually operate from the kid inside of me. Mm-hmm. That to me, even though my body may be this age, the inside of me feels no different than whenever I was a child. The spirit in me, the inside of me feels absolutely no different whatsoever. So when I saw that just now, when you said, I just allow the kid in me to burst forth as I work closely to release the kid inside of you, that leaped out at me because it is so important. And when I'm not doing radio, I'm an educator. I work with kids every day. Mm-hmm. But it's so important for us to be able to tap into that kid inside of us. And so many people are unaware of it. I'm going to start my interview there in terms of talk to me a little bit about what did you mean by that line?
It's, I'm going to tell you, I find that we lose sight of the kid in us, but it is the kid in us that has the innocence, that has that thinks innovatively, more so than the old person. Because the old person, we're always trying to say, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. But the kid just flows in it. And when you were a kid, there was nothing you felt that you couldn't do. You just did it. Nothing stopped you from doing it. It allowed you to play. It allowed you to dream. It allowed you to have all types of visions of what you wanted to be. Kids would create. They would create and say, okay, we're gonna play house, and they create this whole thing. Like, okay, we're playing house, we're playing this, but they would create. They had creative minds, and their minds were very creative. And I often tell people that when you go back to the first mention of who you are, when you go back to that first place where you really knew who you were, it was when you were a kid. But along the way, we lose sight of it because we get caught up in the mundaneness of life. We get caught up in people telling us, this is what you should do. There are people who are writers and artists. There are creative people that are out there working in jobs that they don't even want to be at because someone took that creative kid and told that creative kid, that's not the way you want to go here.
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, there's people who are actually miserable. And the thing is, I know that feeling because you just heard me say I was an educator, but prior to doing that, I actually was in corporate America. And the only reason I got into corporate America to begin with, when I share the story, I'm not disparaging my father. I am not disrespecting my father. Mm-hmm. He wanted the best for me. But whenever I was graduating high school, I told him, when I would go to college, I wanted to major in either music or language arts, English. I wanted to either major in English or in music. And he says, nope, you're not going to major in either one of them because you won't make any money at it. He said, either you have to be in musically, you have to be something like a Michael Jackson. And if you major in English, the only thing you're going to be able to do is teach and you're going to make no money there. It's like, okay. So I literally kind of like threw a dart at the dartboard and chose business administration as a major for college. Had no idea what business administration entailed, but that's what I majored in. That's what I got my bachelor's in. Ultimately was hired by AT&T. Jacqui, when I tell you perks and wonderful assignments, and I mean, I had some of the top assignments in AT in terms of marketing, got a chance to travel the world, meet famous people, but it just was not doing nothing for me on the inside. 15 years later, I ultimately left and went into education, which was my passion, which is what I said to begin with. Went into my passion and things took off from there. I mean, I went in there with the teacher of the year on down the line. Within 5 years, I was promoted into administration, been a principal ever since. And just things have taken off, and the impact to be able to have on others' lives have just been, just unreal. But that was because we made the shift from doing something that I kind of liked that was okay to what the passion is. So I say all that to say I know exactly what you're talking about, of being trapped in a job that I'm only in it because my parents wanted me to be in it, this wanted to be in it, this, that, and the other.
Or sometimes we get trapped because we have no idea who we are. And we're just moving, we're just meandering through life. And we have no idea who we are, what we want to do. And so no one's trying to tap into what's inside of you. Who are you? And so and all you know is, I need to get a job. And so you get a job. But you don't realize the full potential of who you are. And I'll give you an example. I have a cousin who's never gone to any art school. She's only learned it when, through the K through 12 level. But she draws so beautifully because it's who she is. And for years, she wouldn't even draw because she didn't have the confidence in her own capabilities. So what happened is I started telling her, you need to draw. And she would draw and send it to me, and then she'd say, you really like it? And when I tell you, she is awesome, but no one nurtured that gift in her. And so along the way, I began to nurture the gift and telling her, you really need to draw. This is who you are. And she said, she talks about the passion and how rewarding it is for her. However, no one pushed her in that direction.
Correct.
And so she went and started working in customer service, and she really didn't like it, but that's all she knew.
And see, again, and people are well-made in terms of go to college, get a job, get the house, get the car, get the white picket fence, get the spouse, get the this, that, and the other. People are well-meaning because they want the best for you. However, sometimes those things may or may not be the absolute best. And as you said, when you get somebody that will nurture you, because there's plenty of books, one in particular that says, do what you love and the money will follow. And because most of the time when people are giving you advice, they're thinking monetarily. Like, like I told you, my father said, no, you ain't going to be able to make no money on that. Ultimately, I did wind up going back into teaching. And yes, I did take a 50% pay cut when I left corporate, but it's been made back up 3 or 4 times over. But that's why folks are thinking in terms of, okay, if you follow your passion, whether it be art, music, or whatever, you're not going to make any money that. So that's where people are coming from. I'm noticing here as I'm on one of your sites, because Jacqui has multiple things. That's what I'm getting ready to talk about in a minute. Jacqui's what I consider a Renaissance woman. I'm looking here. It says coach, author, mentor, trainer, speaker, minister, strategist, consultant. That's a Renaissance woman to me. Talk to me a little bit about now, because you just talked about nurturing your cousin. How did you now come into being a coach, author, mentor, trainer, speaker, minister, strategist, consultant?
Well, I just look at it as it's just all of the Jacqui. Sometimes I say I'm a Jacqui of all trades and a master of many. Because you as you evolve and you begin to realize this is just all who you are. When you look at the nuts and bolts of it all, it really is saying that Jacqui is a communicator. Jacqui is an encourager. And so it doesn't matter what facet it is or what title that I have, they all fall under that I am here to encourage you to become all God envisioned, so then you can experience what he saw. So spiritual abundance, wholeness, and wealth. And everything falls under that. So all of the titles are titles, and sometimes we have titles because other people need titles. I just I'm an ordained elder, but when people say, well, I told them, you can just call me Jacqui, because I'm Jacqui.
Absolutely.
All the other stuff is just
absolutely. This is the way my pastor puts it. When you came out of your mother's womb, she didn't name you coach.
Thank you.
She didn't name you author. She didn't name you, because he tells us, as officers at our church, I serve on the deacon ministry, and you have some folks that really get caught out there with these titles, like they force people, like they get offended if you don't call them deacon such and such or minister such and such. They get offended, and so that's why he's constantly encouraging. Look, your mother did not name you deacon.
That's right. And some people, they lose sight of your name. They never.
They do.
What their name is, you're elder. It's just like, okay. And like you said, in some other people, they're like, well, call me elder. And I'll give you an example. There was a woman that used to go to the church where I go to now, and I knew that God had called me to be an elder.
Right.
But I hadn't received man's title.
Right.
And so, but people would call me elder. And she had her own little issues going on. And we were in the restroom one day, and a woman said, Elder Showers. And I just answered her. And, she was livid. She literally went and told the pastor that I was telling people to call me elder, but I was not.
Right.
What it was that, and I want people to understand this, but you also still have to operate in a certain amount of respect.
Correct.
And this is what happens is that anointing comes before appointment.
Correct.
God anointed me to be an elder almost as soon as I embraced him as Lord and Savior. I became an elder. However, man's appointment had to catch up with God's anointment.
All right,
and
now.
God just took me to through the process for the appointment. So by the time man's appointment happens, I'm already anointed to be an elder, and people call you according to the anointing, not the appointed.
Correct.
And so that's what happened. And so, and I was called into this whole, general council of the elders. And
right.
They said, why are you telling people to call
right.
you elder? I'm not telling people to call me elder. But if they call me elder, I'm not going to tell them not to
Correct. No, that's absolutely right.
They're speaking to the anointment.
Correct.
And you speak to the appointment.
Absolutely. The church that I'm in, my mother literally carried me in her womb there. I have not left there. I've been there ever since. We are talking nearly 60 years in the same place. So there have been saints in there who literally know me since before I was born as a baby. And they're still there, and I'm still there. So whenever, the title or as you say, the anointment or the appointment was given, they struggled with, well, do I call you Mark? Do I call you? I said, no. Just like you said, you've known me as Mark since I was a child. You still call me Mark. You will not be required to say Deacon Medley. You don't have to say no. Mark is fine. And that's pretty much the way I am with everything. Because as I said, when I'm not here, I'm an educator. I'm a principal. I don't force folks to call me Principal Medley. I mean, folks, Mr. Medley's fine. I mean, I'm not going to have the kids call me Mark, but Mr. Medley's fine. But people really do get sidetracked and caught up in these names. I've considered, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, considered going back and finish up and get a doctorate. But I tell folks all the time, if I were to do that, I'm not getting a doctorate just for folks to call me doctor. I could care less if you call me doctor or not. Now, going back...
No, Mark, let's be correct. They're going to call you doctor.
They are. But in terms of, doing it for that, because I know folks that are only getting it for folks to call them doctor. But in terms of, it's along that same lines. But yes, especially some folks want to, that's right. But it's to that point you were making. I mean, I've known folks. I was working a registration, and I've shared this story every now and again. I was working on a registration table at a religious conference at a Baptist convention, and I was working a registration table, and I knew the young lady that walked up, knew her well. And so when she walked up to the table to sign in, I said, "Hey, how you doing, sister such and such?" She snapped at me, "That's minister." I'm like, oh. In my mind, if I'm calling you sister or brother, that's even higher than, because I'm seeing you as, my brother in Christ, my sister in Christ. That's even higher than whatever our little titles are. But at that point, okay, fine, minister, But, there is, like you said earlier, there's the title thing. And then, folks, let's put it this way. If Joe Biden was to walk in the room right now, he don't have to say he's president of the United States.
No.
We know that. He doesn't have to say, "You gonna call me president." So I mean, no, you don't have to. So I just, and again, we're gonna continue on, but I sat here and I saw the different titles that you have there. Again, a coach, author, mentor, trainer, speaker, minister, strategist, consultant. And I love the way you put that. It all falls under the same umbrella, because that's what I share with folks. Again, with myself in terms of being the principal, working in the church, doing the radio show, writing my blog, doing my podcast, doing voiceovers or whatever. It all falls under the same umbrella of communication and education.
And really it does. But you know what? It comes from knowing who you are.
Correct.
Because when you know who you are according to who God ordained you to be, and it's very different from who God ordained you to be and God created you to be from what you're trying to be to please men. Because when you are a man pleaser, you are forever caught up in titles. You're caught up in all of that. But when you are a God pleaser, you only caught up in pleasing the person in the audience of one.
Correct.
And that's God. And all of the other, it means they're important, but they're important because you are caught up in pleasing the audience of one, and that's it. And so we have gotten so caught up in titles,
yes,
that we lose sight of who we are. And
yes,
that's lose sight of, well, who are you? They don't know. They don't have a vision statement. They don't have a mission statement. And they'll just say, I remember years ago there was a woman, and whenever you would ask her what did she do, she would always say, oh, I work at IBM.
Right.
Well, that's where you work, but that's not what you do, because she was ashamed
right.
of the position that she had, because she felt like the position, people would not accept her because of the position, because she was an administrative assistant. So she would, even closest friends, she wouldn't tell them. She would make them think that she was in management, and she wasn't.
Well, see,
she was an administrative assistant,
right?
Was caught up in that title to define who she is.
Well, see, and this is why I really, and I've said this on the air before with other guests and other topics, I really do have a problem. And the reason she's feeling that way is because you have people who really look down their nose on different titles. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is, there is no such thing as a job that's unnecessary. There is no, and I started my career. You heard me just say with AT&T. I started there as a secretary. I was a male secretary back in the '80s when folks was not used to that. They weren't accustomed to that. And I pick up the telephone. Hello, may I speak to Mr. Osborne, secretary? You're speaking to Mr. Osborne. I say, oh. But in any event, I was secretary. I've been a custodian. I've been a telemarketing rep. I've been a jet engine mechanic. I've had the opportunity to do these quote unquote menial jobs. But one thing I do understand and have become real good, and I have a real good appreciation for, that any one of those jobs, if they stop, the management jobs and everything else stops too. I was an adjunct professor at our community college, and we have different sites, campuses. And so I went to one of our satellite campuses, so I didn't have keys to doors and everything. So when I'd come in on my Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever it was, and his name was Kenny, I'll never forget, I would ask him, Kenny, I don't have keys. Could you open my door? He would come and we would chat and talk. I respected him. He would open the door. And one day he stopped me and he says, Mark, because they didn't have to call me Professor Medley. It was like, he said, Mark. I said, yeah, hey, Kenny, what's what? He said, let me tell you something. He said, for you, if you come and you ask me to open the door, I'll do it immediately. But there are some professors that walk in here that when they ask me, I all of a sudden lost my keys. He said, because you respect me as a person. Those other professors, they acted as if I was nothing because I was a custodian. They acted as if I wasn't worth anything because I was a janitor. He said, but you were not like that. You would talk to me. And he told me, he said, for you, I'll open any door. But for some of those, when they ask me, I'm sorry, I don't have the key today. I lost it. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying all that to say exactly what you just said in terms of the young woman feeling that way. But that's because we have folks that look their nose down on janitors and secretaries and security guards and secretaries and any of the garbage men. I mean, Martin Luther King lost his life behind a sanitation strike. It was garbage men. Folks look, and I tell folks all the time, think about this for a minute. The sanitation workers, the garbage men, never strike in the winter. They always strike in the heat of summer because they know that's whenever that garbage is going to start smelling. Folks going to recognize. Folks going to recognize the importance of that position. They may not recognize it as much in the winter because it's cold, it's not smelling. They may look or anything, but in the summer it's going to smell. Sanitation workers always strike in the summer. At the school, my secretary or the security guard or custodians out, we feel it. And so that's why this title thing, it's a bugaboo, it's a pet peeve of mine because people are people and every job is important one way or the other. And I know you have an opportunity to coach people and to help them understand that, because I'm speaking of visions and titles. I'm looking here because Jacqui has at least 3 websites, you guys, and we're going to share all of them with you by the end of the interview. All right. The Dream, the Vision, the Visionary. Jacqui has authored and published Prayers for Success, Igniting the World to Achieve Success, I Decided, Moving from Resolution to Execution, and Affirmations for Success. Daily Affirmations for Marketplace Influencers. Jacqui is the founder of Jacqui LLC, Jacqui Publishing, the Me Place Mentor Empowerment Institute, the Showers Group Ministries, Breakout Empowerment and Leadership Experience, Showers Blessing Inspires blog, A Minute Till Midnight Marketplace Prayer Boot Camp, Not a Downpour, Just the Showers, Blessing Inspiration Moments and Wisdom, Wealth and Riches with Jacqui Blog Talk Radio Show. Development, Visionary, and Business Encouragement Coach, Jacqui provides an integrated, holistic approach in developing spirit-centered leaders and individuals to be effective change agents in an ever-evolving marketplace for purposeful living. A kingdom solutionist, marketplace leader, and sought-after speaker, she provides individual consultation, workshops, seminars, webinars, conference, books, blogs, and e-blasts for companies, faith, and community-based organizations, and other venues for personal, spiritual, professional, business, and leadership development. Her mandate is to encourage, equip, and empower you to become all God envisioned you so you can experience what God, S.A.W. It stands for spiritual abundance, wholeness, and wealth. Jacqui holds, she said this in the beginning of the show, the dear love affair she and God share that's totally beyond compare. Do you ever get hit with crossing over between the spiritual and business?
You know what? I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. And if I did, I would not allow it to bother me. You know, there's a parable in the Bible, or should I say there's a story. When Solomon first became king, when he asked God to give him wisdom, and the first situation that came up to him as the king were 2 women. They each had children, and one of them, her baby died, but she in the night she took the other woman's baby, and when she took the other woman's baby, she said it was hers. So when they went before the king, and the real mother said, you know, this is my child. You know, her baby died and she took my child in the middle of the night. And the other woman said, no. So King Solomon says, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the baby and saw it in half. We're going to cut it in half.
That's right.
Give one half to each one of them. The person whose baby it wasn't, she didn't care about the baby. So she said, yeah, I think that's the best way. The other woman said, no, give it to her. Because she was saying, I'd rather for my baby to live with her than to die.
Absolutely.
And so King Solomon said, she speaks right, give the baby to her. So I come to us when we are in the whole business world, and how do we seamlessly integrate spirituality with the reality of the marketplace? When you begin to understand you cannot be cut in half. You cannot be cut in half that on Sunday when you go to church on Sunday, that's who you are. But then when you go to work on Monday, it's like, oh, I got to leave that person on Sunday because that person cannot come into Monday. So I look at it this way. In every facet of our lives, they're not cutting anybody in half. Everybody can be whoever they are. When they come, but the person from Sunday can come to work on Monday. So why is it they want me to cut myself in half? Because I cannot cut away the most important aspect of me, which is the spiritual side of me. But you want me to cut it out and say, Monday through Friday, this person doesn't exist. And some people do that. And what happens is that they get caught up in the world system of doing things. But I refuse, because they tell us, they say, you know, there's a certain thing that gave you, and I know you've heard it, the separation of church and state.
Oh, yes. I was going to talk about that when you were done. Absolutely.
And so when they talk about the separation of church and state, what we don't realize is that there's nowhere in the Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, where that is really written.
All right now.
That was something that was said. And so, and the only time there's a separation of church and state is when the church wants something from the state. And I need for people to really understand this, because I worked for the U.S. Census during the 2010 decennial census. And one of the things that they knew, that a church can get to people directly or indirectly. And they understand this. Corporations understand it.
Correct.
Government understands it. So what do? When they're developing their strategies of how they're going to get anything out, including during this pandemic, how are we going to get the vaccinations out? What do? They partner with churches, because they know directly or indirectly the churches have influence, and the influence they have is this.
Correct.
You and I go to church. We go to church. We hear what the pastor says. The pastor brings in a guest, or the pastor says, hey, you need to vote. You need to get vaccinated. You need to fill out your census form. And we say, oh, yes. So the pastor has given us a directive directly to us. Indirectly, we take it home. We
Correct.
take it to our family members, those who don't go to church. We take it to our neighbors, those who don't go to church. And then we reiterate what we've heard the pastor say, or the guest of the pastor. And so that means that indirectly the church is affecting what's happening in society.
Absolutely.
However, when the church decides that we need the government, they say, oh, it's a separation of church and state.
Absolutely. Bingo. You hit it. You hit the tack on the head.
That the only time you are to be separated or allow anybody to separate you is never. Because you can't separate your relationship with you can't separate your relationship with God and say, okay, I'm at work Monday, so I'm not going to say his name. They don't tell anybody in that workplace, you don't need to use profanity. People, they say whatever they
That's
want
right.
to say.
That's
they
absolutely
say whatever
right.
they want to say. They do whatever they want to do. They bring their lifestyle up into the workplace, and then there's a demand that you have to accept it. So why would I be no different? Because, people say, well, it's just who I am. Well, and I'm going to tell you this. The Lord gave me this recently. And he said, you were born into being a Christian. You were born into this. And I was.
Correct.
Because I had to be born again. So when
Correct.
you say, well, you can't say that. Oh, yeah. I know I was born like this. This is who I am. I was born this way. So why is it if I'm born this way, I would have to drop this person just because I walked into this environment? I'm born this way. I cannot leave this piece of Jacqui at home. I can't leave this piece of Jacqui in the church, because if I do, I will die.
Correct. And
I'm born this way. So if you try to cut me in half, I'm going to die. I'm going to die a spiritual death, and I'm going to die a natural death, because if my spirit that drives me, that is the true essence of me being born.
Correct.
All of a sudden, it says you can't let this piece of you walk with you. I'm going to die, and eventually I'm going to die a natural death as well.
Now, I mean, that is, first off, the soul story of Solomon. That is a wonderful analogy and an explanation. And you're absolutely right. And when you were talking about church and state, again, similarities. When you walk into my office at the school, because that's one place where they'll hit you with that quickly, to church and state. But when you walk into my room, there's a wall that has plaques with scriptures on there. Proverbs 3:5. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. I mean, these plaques have been with me from school to school as I've moved from different schools. And I have other scriptures. I have the Jeremiah 29:11 sitting on my desk. I know the plans that I have for you. I mean, it's like scriptures all around when you coming around me. And I always tell her, I dare somebody to tell me to take them down. And that was an excellent point you just made in terms of, well, nobody's telling you in the workplace where you can't use profanity or whatever. We're not separating that out. That was an excellent point. You're right. So, and not to mention any other thing else folks wants to do. So, I totally understand what you're saying. And that was an excellent point in terms of you're wanting me to cut out something that's a part of me.
That's right. And we can't be cut in half.
Correct.
But yet that's what they want us to do. And more they're saying it, but yet and still everybody else, whatever they want to do, whoever they are, it's like accept this, because they're just born this way.
Correct.
That's my whole point. And so am I.
Correct.
I was just born this way.
And that's interesting you bring up the second birth, because there's the first birth, and for those of us who are believers, who are Christians, we know the second birth. Those we are born again. And so to Jacqui's point, she said, yeah, because again, I told you, my mother literally carried me in her womb at the church I'm in now. So I was born in that church first time and second time.
Right. And I think that we lose sight because we're so busy trying to assimilate and be like the world and accept their ways and allowing them to define us that we lost sight of who God has defined us to be.
Correct. Now,
and that's why people are lost.
No, you're absolutely right, because one of the things that we talked about was the fact that Jacqui is an author, and I'm looking at her books here. We have Prayers for Success, I Decided, and Affirmations for Success. Now, normally when I have my author on, one of the questions I always ask is kind of like, where did it start? Or, did you envision yourself being an author whenever you were young or in school, or did it come later in life or what? But for you, because everything is kind of connected, it just seems like for me that, the writing of books would be like a natural transition.
Well, actually, it was not.
Never assume. So there you go.
Because I never thought really about writing books. I never thought about it. What I knew I was a writer, but I never thought in terms of, as this writer, that you're also going to write books. I didn't think in those terms. And just to give you a bit of history, my first journalism class at Wayne State University, and the person told me that he didn't say I couldn't write. He said I didn't get the grammar aspect. I didn't get the rudiments of writing, the grammar, the syntax, the verb, the word-verb agreement. I didn't get any of that. Or should I say, I won't say I didn't get it. I didn't apply myself to it.
Correct.
And that's a better way of saying it, because I was very smart, but I was too smart for my own good.
All right.
I was very smart. However, I also always loved to be seen, and I loved the socialization, and I loved dressing. I've always been known as being like this fashionista, even before the word fashionista even existed.
Right.
And so I would go to school primarily to socialize, and my mother knew it. And in the high school I went to, you would get kicked out if you were late for a class more than 6 times. And so I would be late, and my mother was like, "You only there because you want to be seen," because I was a dresser. And so she told me, she said, "You know what?" She said, "You're going to wear the same outfit for a whole week." Do you know how hard that is on someone? Do you know how hard it is on someone who pride themselves in not wearing the same outfit virtually for a whole month? And I had to wear the same outfit for a whole week.
Your mother knew what to do.
My mother knew the punishment I needed. And I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to wear the same outfit for a whole week, and I cannot not stay home. And I wasn't the type of person who skipped school.
Right.
So I had to go to school. So I just had to tell everybody, I'm wearing this outfit because I'm on punishment. And I will never forget the punishment, because on the last day, I guess she felt sorry for me. She said, gave me a little grace. She said, well, you You can wear whatever you want to wear today. And I remember what I had on and everything. I remember to this day I had this lavender dress on, button up the front, had my white shoes on. I can remember it. And get to school, and they come into my first hour class and said, "Oh, you've been kicked out because you've been late." And I'm like, "Not today. I just got my dress back." So, and I say all that to say because I was more caught up in that. I wasn't caught up in the academics of school. So I didn't do all the studying. I was on the telephone all the time, and that was before they had cell phones. So, I hogged up the phone at home all the time. And but that's who I was. And I had no idea of who I really was supposed to be. But when I started getting to know me, I remember that there were a couple of times when I was in elementary school I won an award, but I don't remember that one as much for writing as I did the one when I was in junior high school. So I'm aging myself because now they call it middle school.
Correct.
And during that time, there was a teacher who came in and called me out because it was just an essay in class that we had to write. And in my writing, it was to encourage a young boy not to commit suicide. And that's what I wrote. And I won the award. And I remember the gift was there was a record shop. See, people don't remember the record shop.
I do. I know. See, we I remember 45s and 33s. Yep.
Yep. And you would go to the record shop to buy the records. And so I guess they had gotten one of the local record shops to give a gift, and the gift was that you got an album, and my album was Eddie and David Hendricks, the two brothers. They made an album called I Am My Brother's Keeper. And
all right now.
My brother was with me, and so he said, "Oh, let's get this one." And to this day, my brother got the album. I didn't know what happened to the album. He kept saying, I kept wondering, where did I get it from? And I said, this is why. And interestingly enough, he was the one, him and my sister Patricia, believed in my writings before I believed in them. So at that point, right there, I was a writer, but I didn't embrace it until later, because then after going to the class where another man called me out of the class and said, I need to talk to you, but it wasn't to say that you won an award. It was to say that you need to go back and get what you needed. And I became afraid of writing. So never in my wildest dreams did I really think of writing a book until I began to write my way out of fear. And I began to write that, write for God to anoint my hands to write the words that he spoken into me, but began to write and say, deliver me of fear. And along the way, it's shifted, and it's begun to say, I'm fearless and free. And that's how I became the author. And so then it was like, oh, and I never told anybody of this fear for years because I was too afraid to say that I was afraid and too afraid to ask for help. But yet I was exposed to great editors from, major publications that I could have easily said, help me, and they would have helped me. But I was just too afraid to say it because I was embarrassed to say that I really couldn't write. But by that time, I'd done all the hard work, but all I needed was to have someone to even help me hone the skill even more.
Right.
So later, and then and what made me realize I could write a book, my nephew-in-law wrote a book and asked me to edit it. The book was the same thing on every page. I was like, I know if he can write a book, I can write a book. And that's when I realized I can write a book.
Absolutely. And see, and editing is not easy. I've been put in that position before, and I don't particularly care to edit. And I'm actually sit on the advisory board of a publishing company. And and every now and again, I'll get tasked into editing something that came through. And so that's not an easy task either. So that was interesting what I just heard you say. You say it was the same thing on every page. So we have prayers for success. What's the gist of that? Talk a little bit about it. And folks, we do want you to order the book, so she's not going to tell you everything that's in it, but she'll give you the gist to whet your appetite. Talk a little bit about Prayers for Success.
Prayers for Success evolved because God said, I need you to write a prayer every day. And I was thinking, how in the world am I write a prayer every day? So, and he said, well, you've already been writing the prayers because I would write a blog. And after the blog, I'd always write a prayer. And so that's sort of like how it evolved. And then I just started writing prayers every single day. So now I've probably written close to between 2,500 and 3,000 prayers over time. And so I said, you know what, I need to put these into a book because the book is written. All I have to do is take in and compile the first 366 prayers.
Right.
And so that's how Prayers for Success really evolved. And because I pray, Lord, anoint my hands to write the words that you've spoken to me into books, not for just this generation, but generations yet to be born, and they
Correct.
will know that they are your words and not my words. And all of that is really in Scripture. And I found verses about writing, and I just began to pray over my hands. Now, one thing about Prayers for Success that has been very interesting is that when people get it, they do one of two things. They're going to either look at the day that we're in, so if it was December 11th, or they are going to go for their birthday. And in every instance when they do that, Mark, they're like, how did you know? Well, there's no way I can
exactly
counter with that this is your birthday and I wrote this specifically for you. But it is because it is God's answer to the prayer that I had, because I don't want people to think it's me. It's no difference when I'm speaking. I want people to know it's God speaking directly to them. And I don't care what arena I'm in. When I speak, I want people to know it's really coming from God, whether it's a business arena or if it's what we call secular arena.
Right.
I want people to always know this is a message, and I'm just a mouthpiece, but it's coming directly to you for what you need in order for you to grow and become all God envisioned. And so I didn't realize it until I think the first time there was a young man at my job, and at the job I used to work, and he was reading the book on his birthday, and we're standing there in the middle of the office, and he is about to cry. And I'm like, oh, my God, he's about to cry. And he kept saying, how did you know? How did you know? He said, these are the exact words I spoke to God this morning. This is exactly where I am. I told him I didn't know. So I was like, okay, we're standing in the middle of this office, people walking around. I said, he cannot start crying. So I cracked a joke to cut it. And so one time I was talking to this woman, and the woman was, they were buying the book. And so I always sign it on your birthday. So as I'm getting ready to sign it, and I said, this is not her. This is what I'm saying to myself. And she begins to talk and say how on the 14th, her birthday was the 15th, but on the 14th of May, the year before, her son had committed suicide.
Ugh.
And her birthday is the 15th of May.
Right.
So I'm sitting there before she said what she said, and I'm saying to myself, this is not her. This is what I'm saying to myself. Now, her birthday is May 15th. May 14th is the date that her son committed suicide. So when I begin, and I told her, I said, let me read you what's on your birthday. And I'm going to read this. And it says, Father, this is a tremendous loss. We look to you for courage and strength to make it. We don't have all of the answers as to why, in your infinite wisdom, you chose to call our loved ones home. Yet we nestle in the assurance that your all of joy is our strength, and for the spirit of heaviness, you have given us a garment of praise. Amen. Now, her son died May 14th.
Right.
So May 14th reads, Father, after experiencing such tremendous loss, I didn't think I would ever experience joy again. Time heals the heartache of loss. My sorrow turned into joy, and my memories turned into priceless keepsakes. Thank you for turning my deepest pain into joyful dancing and cover me in such a brilliant light of joy and happiness. Amen. We were back there crying. It was three of us because we knew. How would I know that I was going to meet a woman and she was going to need this? And on the 14th of May, a year before, her son committed suicide, and her birthday was the 15th of May. And those poems were written really in dedication to my sister and my best friend.
Right.
Who passed away in 2013 on May 14th, and her birthday was May 15th.
Oh.
And that's why those poems are written was because of her. So it was just so amazing to hear her story and to realize And that's when I knew, okay, this is God. These prayers
No question.
is God. Because
No question.
And I can't begin to tell you, almost everybody who picks it up will say the same thing.
Well, I'm going to have it because I'm looking here. I see the way you have it on your website. I see it on a tablet, and I see it on a phone, and I see it in paperback copy. Is it available on Amazon, or is it download? I mean,
the ebooks are available on Amazon.
Okay, great.
And the hard copy books, you would have to go to our website, but the ebooks are available on Amazon.
Oh, excellent. Well, I can tell you before today is out, I will have downloaded Prayers for Success on Amazon into my Kindle. Before the day is out, I will, especially after this conversation that we had, because I am definitely going. I would probably have gone to, if it's laid out in a perpetual, I probably would have gone to today's date. I hadn't even thought about the birthday, but I'm certainly going to have to go to August 17th whenever I get it. So Prayers for Success. I'm going to definitely download it. Now I see you have I Decided. What's that about?
Yep. It is Prayers for Success, Igniting the World to Achieve Success.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
So I decided I decided from resolution to execution, proven steps to move from resolution to execution. And decided stands for diligence, excellence, confidence, integrity, discipline, enthusiasm, and dedication.
It's an acronym.
Now, yes. So decided this came about because I was going through drawers and I realized I had all these resolutions. And they were the same resolutions for about 10 years, but nothing had happened. They were just resolutions in the drawer. I would make sure I got to write my resolutions because at 11:59, December 31st, I had to pray over these resolutions that they would happen in that year. They didn't happen in that year because I prayed over them, then they went into a drawer.
Right. I'm laughing because I stopped doing resolutions for that very reason. I just stopped doing them. And so I'm laughing when you said that.
Yeah, it makes no sense to keep writing these resolutions and nothing's happening. And then, so as I began to pray and ask God to say, what do I need in order to move forward? And he gave me the acrostic of diligence, excellence, confidence, integrity, discipline, enthusiasm, and dedication. And so, and it made all the difference. So now, as all the things that I wanted to do, I'm accomplishing them.
Right.
I'm doing them because I don't really write resolutions down anymore. I just trust God to know, just keep moving me forward. And so, I don't write them down like I used to. I got to have my 10 resolutions.
You're right.
And it's like, you know what? Just praying all the time that I'm able to do and become everything that God envisioned, that's what matters. I don't tell you don't write goals and don't write resolutions, but to write them down, but you also have to be an executor of them.
Correct.
So you have to be able to execute them in order for you to experience the success that God really wants you to do. And that's what I decided is about. It is about moving out of that place of fear into a place of faith and empowerment that empowers you to do what God has called for you to do. And that's really what diligence helped me, what decided helped me to do. It helped me to move out of that place and then to ask myself, well, what do I need? I need diligence. The Word of God says our diligent hands makes us rich. So I needed that. I needed a spirit of excellence, that everything that I do, I'm not caught up in the fear of perfection, but I operate in a spirit of excellence that I don't have to keep doing it, thinking every I got to be dotted, every T got to be crossed. And confidence, because I knew that I operated in fear and most people didn't know it, I knew I needed the confidence in order for me to be able to do what I need to get done, and especially as it pertained to writing. And I needed to walk in my integrity. I needed to have a spirit of integrity that in every aspect of my life to be a good steward over what God has given. I needed discipline. I needed self-control. Because a lot of times we don't do what we need to do because we don't have the discipline to say, I am disciplined enough in order for me to get the job done. Most times we say, I'm not disciplined. If I want it, I want it. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And then along the way we say, oh, well, you know what? You're jealous of somebody else over there because they had the discipline to do it. And then you said, oh, yeah, they think they so much.
Right.
They think they this. And it's not that they think it, you think it.
Correct.
And I tell people, I said, when people try to say you think this, it's not that you think it, they think it.
Correct.
And what you should do is just say, thank you so much. I knew you had to find a way to tell it to me.
Yeah,
and so you just wanted to tell me how I was doing a good job.
See, I know that's God, because I just had this conversation with my daughter the other night. Somebody told her, "Oh, you think you better than me?" I said, No. What that person was really saying was, I don't think I'm as good as you. And so there you go. I just had this conversation. Today is Saturday. It must have been Thursday or Wednesday night with my daughter. Exact same conversation. And here it comes back again. See, that's why I know there's God. That's why I know what you're saying about your book is real in terms of reading those prayers on particular dates. And it's not you. It's God.
You know what? It's not. It's not you. And when you get that in your mind, I learned that when I was a teenager. And this woman, it was a girl, and we went to school together, and she always wanted to tell me, well, you think you're so pretty. So finally I told her, thank you. And I said, you needed a way to tell me I'm so pretty. Thank you so much. And so, it's like you have to, you can't let the daysays of the world always rain on your parade. So you just take their words and just let them know, hey, thank you so much. I knew you needed to tell me that. Tell me that. Now, they may get upset with you, but hey, that's on them.
It really is. And then the third book is Affirmations for Now. Now I decided it's on Amazon in e-form too.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so that's two. That's two I'm gonna download today. All right, so I got two I'm gonna download before the end, but probably before noon I'll have them downloaded whenever I leave the studio and get home. and
Affirmations for Success. They are daily affirmations for marketplace influencers.
All right.
And that's what they are. And I sort of haven't been doing it for a while, but I used to put out affirmations every day on social media. And when I say I would put out anywhere from 8 to 10 affirmations a day.
All right now, a woman after my own heart. Because I was talking about affirmations earlier.
Right, and it was to encourage you. So you may start off with an affirmation, and that affirmation they talk about when you get up in the morning. And then it would go like about every 2 hours all the way until it was time for you to go to sleep at night. And you would have an affirmation that would hit, because I would just schedule them to hit, about every 2 to 3 hours in order to encourage people. So they would be encouraged, and they would, and then it would always be an affirmation that was at the, to wake you up.
Right.
And there would be an affirmation for you to go to sleep.
All right.
And it was a different affirmation every day. In addition to, I also would put a prayer out every day.
All right now. See, I was sharing in the 6 o'clock hour. I was sharing with the listening audience. A lot of people think that's a lot of hooey. They think it's a lot of, I don't believe in all that. Don't realize how powerful words are. Whether you're speaking them, whether you're reading them, they're powerful. And so I was sharing with them how I have affirmations that are tacked up to my bedroom mirror, tacked up on my refrigerator, tacked up on my bathroom mirror, that I'm possibly getting hit. Not to mention the different apps I have on my phone that, but I've opened them to do exactly what you were just talking about. That I'm constantly feeding positive words into me. So when I'm going through good times, they work. When I'm going through bad times, they work. But words and affirmations are powerful. So that's the third book I'm going to. So all three of your books, if they are on Amazon, I'm going to download them into my Kindle. I'm going to get all three of them before the day is out.
They all are out there on Amazon. And if you want to order them, then what you would do, Affirmations for Success is only an ebook.
Okay.
But if you want to order the hard copies, at this point you can go to our site, to jazzapublishing.com. And
all right, so I want you to stay right there, because we're at that point in the show where you're going to do exactly what you were just doing. I'm going to turn the mic off, and you're going to have the opportunity to promote all of your sites, all of your initiatives. The only thing you can't say on the air is the cost. Folk can work that out when they get in touch with you or when they go to the sites or whatever. But anything short of the cost, you are free to promote as much as you like in the next few minutes or so. That's how we always close the show, is with the guest having the opportunity to let folks know how to get in touch with them. So I'm going to turn the mic off, and it's yours. You can pick up where you just left off in terms of, the website, or you can repeat it again. But I'm going to turn the mic off, and, for the next couple of minutes, you have the opportunity to promote everything you'd like to promote.
Okay. So we'll start with the books. So you can go to our website, Jassai Publishing, that's JASSAI Publishing.com. And we have all 3 books up on the website. It is Prayers for Success, Igniting the World to Achieve Success, I Decided, Move from Resolution to Execution, and Affirmations for Success, Daily Affirmations for Marketplace Influencers. And so you can go up on our website. Everything is up there in order for you to get them in. It's a perfect time of year because you're going into a new year, and this is you can give them as a gift. You can buy them as a gift for yourself, but they are a gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving. And so usually what I do ask for Prayers for Success is if you buy them for somebody or even if you purchase them for yourself, there's a place that'll say, like, give us your birthday. Not you. I don't need to know the year. I just need to know your birthday because I always like to sign them on the birthday. So when you order them that way, you will get a signed author's copy of Prayers for Success. And I Decided, you will also get a signed copy of I Decided as well. So in the other is like I have a blog. It's the Showers Blessing blog. And you can go to our website, theshowersgroupministries.com, and you will be able to get to our blog and become a subscriber with us. So then you can receive every single day. We send out affirmations as well as the daily prayers for success that'll come directly to your email. And so you'll be encouraged do it every single morning, Monday through Friday. And we used to do it Sunday through Saturday, but we realized we want people to know my ministry is the ministry for the marketplace. So you can go to that website, make sure that you become a subscriber with us, go to our blog, and then you'll also be able to participate in our blog. The meplace.org, the Me Place is our business coaching arm. And so in the Me Place, we coach individuals to small businesses, to emerging to small businesses. We coach them on leadership, business development. But we also have a new piece of that whole coaching piece, which is called compliance. And a lot of people don't know what compliance is. But if you are a minority business enterprise, if you are a woman business enterprise, we coach you through the whole process of becoming certified. And when you become certified, then you're able to get into the pipeline of supply chain management in order to become a supplier to corporations all across America. And so that information, we're still in the process of putting it up because of getting all of that done. So if you're looking, if you want to say, hey, I need a coach, I do it from a holistic standpoint, and I let people know that because I want you to understand that I cannot be sawed in half, and neither can you. And so we always do it from a holistic standpoint. And you can go to themeplace.org, and you can we also give complimentary coaching sessions, and you'll be able to sign up for a one-time complimentary 30-minute coaching session there. There are other things that we are resurrecting because I had a silent investor. Silent investor is a job that I had to go through Monday through Friday. But now we're going to resurrect some of the things that we have done in the past. And one is our conference, Breakout, Empowerment and Leadership Conference. And it is an experience for the marketplace. And it is, and that's where we bring together people in order for them to come together, and it's a kingdom business conference. And so we're going to bring that back. And there are other aspects of things that we've done in the past that's going to come back. Every Friday night at 11:59, a minute to midnight, we do what we call 11:59, a minute to midnight marketplace prayer boot camp. And this is where we provide teaching and prayer for those that's in the marketplace. Now, some people say I can't stay up, and I totally understand, but it's recorded. We broadcast it on Facebook, on our YouTube channel, as well as on Twitter, and we'll be going to Instagram soon. So those are all of the things that we are doing right now, but there are some things that's going to be kicking off. And if you are interested, you want to make sure that you're connected to us. So So definitely become a subscriber. Sign up in order to that you will receive our daily e-blast of inspiration that just kicks off your day and helps you. And we get a lot of people saying that oh, we really like this. And sometimes, like I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to start doing this, and I'm not going to do this anymore. And somebody will always come and say, okay, I look for that prayer every day. So I realize that that's just me talking. That's not God talking. It's just me saying, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. But then I realize that is God. So those are the ways that you can contact me. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Pinterest. I'm out there. Pinterest, if you go to Pinterest, Pinterest blesses me because when I get the emails from Pinterest and they'll say, oh, someone posted one of your pins. And it's always a prayer that meets me where I am right there, that prayer that I have written. And
Yep.
that's the thing I like about Facebook memories. And I go through Facebook memories, reading all of the prayers and the affirmations that I have written. I think I started writing and putting things out there about 2010. And so I'll go through and just read them, and they just bless me. The affirmations will bless me. And like, for instance, for Breakout, it blesses me because there was a certain time of year that we did Breakout, and those promotions start coming. And I'm always blessed by it to know that, when we did it, people really enjoyed it, and they're constantly still asking for us to bring it back.
All right. Well, I tell you, folks, we started, and when I told you I love the spelling of her name, so if you want to look her up on Google, if you didn't catch all the different sites that she said, I posted them on my Facebook page already, but it's Jacqui, showers, just like if you get in the shower. SHOWERS. That has been my guest this morning. Jacqui, thank you so much for rising early to join me. I knew it was going to be a great interview. That I had no doubt whenever, I heard you last week and I heard you on Clubhouse. That's actually where I heard you first, was on Clubhouse. And that's where we connected and made today's date. And thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, before noon, all 3 of your books will be in my Kindle.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I truly appreciate it, and thank your audience for listening to me as well.
All right. Well, you have a wonderfully blessed day, a wonderfully blessed week, holiday season. We know the reason for the season. I'm not doing a whole lot of gift giving. I'm not doing a whole lot of shopping. I'm not doing a whole lot of that, but I know the reason for the season. And so you have a wonderfully blessed holiday as well.
And you do the same.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
Take care now.
See you.
All right. Well, that ends what I knew was going to be a fast-paced, fast-moving episode, because Jacqui, as I said, she told me last night she loved to talk, and she does, which made my job real easy. But again, it's Jacqui Showers, Jacqui. Like I